Okay, let's discuss the Common Core State Standards, the College and Career Readiness Standards for Adult Education, and how the Venture Series relates to these standards. The Common Core State Standards are a K-12 initiative based on the excellent work already done by many states to provide a clear understanding of what students are expected to learn for success in college and careers. The standards have shared education goals and standards in English, language arts, and mathematics, represent voluntary state adoption, are informed by best practices and available evidence, and highest national and international standards. They've been designed by diverse groups of teachers, leaders, researchers, parents, school administrators. And while there is some controversy about the standards, the Common Core State Standards have established widespread consensus around a national baseline for college and career readiness, which includes a focus on rigorous core academic content mastery, along with the competencies like critical thinking, reasoning, communication, and collaboration. The controversy seems to center more around how they will be assessed and how teachers will receive the needed support to implement the standards. Here are some key features of the English Language Arts Standards. The reading standards place a greater emphasis on text complexity, more focus on expository text, text-dependent questions, evidence-based analyses, emphasis on reading and rereading, reading strategies, and reading foundations. By engaging with increasingly complex readings, there needs to be tasks to analyze structure, ideas, or the meaning of words. The ACT research study, Reading Between the Lines, published in 2006, stated that the greatest predictor of success in college and careers is not a graduate's SAT scores, GPA, or even their critical thinking skills, but rather the ability to read complex texts. The study further stated in the last 50 years, the complexity of text students read in their classes had eroded significantly, whereas the demands of college, careers, and citizenship have not. The writing standards emphasize three mutually reinforcing writing capacities: crafting arguments, writing to inform and explain, and fashioning narratives about real or imagined experiences. Students develop arguments to support claims by analyzing texts. They learn to write clearly and convey complex ideas with emphasis on planning, revising, editing, rewriting, or trying new approaches. Writing Standard 9 stresses the importance of the writing-reading connection. The Speaking-Listening Standards prepare students to participate in a wide range of conversation and collaborations with diverse partners. Students develop a range of broadly useful oral communication and interpersonal skills. They work together to express and listen carefully to ideas, and they integrate information from oral, visual, quantitative, and media sources. They learn to adapt speech to context and task. The language standards represent essential rules of standard written and spoken English. There is emphasis on understanding words and phrases and their nuances and relationships. There's emphasis on acquiring new vocabulary, particularly general academic and domain-specific words and phrases. The Common Core State Standards are based on anchor standards that are broad answers to the question, what should our students do to be college and career ready? Here are two examples. One is a reading standard focusing on the central idea of a text and analysis of key details. And one is a writing standard that documents the importance of the writing process. These anchor standards are important because they are also the basis for the college and career standards for adult education. The standards are research and evidence-based, aligned with college and work expectations, and include rigorous content and application of knowledge through higher order skills. The standards build upon strengths and lessons of current state standards. The standards have been informed by top-performing countries so that all students are prepared to succeed in a global economy. The College and Career Readiness Standards for Adult Education are not new or separate standards. The 2010 Common Core State Standards are designed for K through 12, while the 2013 College and Career Standards are specifically for adult education. The foundation for both are the College and Career Anchor Standards. The College and Career Readiness Standards for Adult Education are the Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education's response to the Common Core State Standards. OCTE has a priority mission to transition students to post-secondary and career readiness programs. To meet this goal, they funded 8 Policy to Performance grants in different states to research and identify best practices for aligning state services and policies so adults could more easily transition. One of the issues identified in the Policy to Performance research was the varying standards among states. OCTE appreciated the consensus from so many states in identifying college and career anchor standards. The Common Core State Standards provided them with a document to build on. They hired the lead author of the Common Core English Language Arts Standards, Susan Pimentel. She worked with a panel of adult educators. Their task was to review the anchor standards and decide which were appropriate for adults. They did not revise or rewrite any of the standards. Why are these standards important? There's a high number of adults who do not have a high school diploma, GED, or high school equivalency. Also, double the number of jobs in the next 10 years will require some form of post-secondary career credential. And most importantly, it's necessary that our students are able to earn a living wage, not just a minimum wage. Adult educators ask for a manageable set of standards because there are limits on how long adults stay in our programs. The Common Core State Standards cover content taught in grades K through 12. Our adults may have limited language skills, but they have a wealth of experience, making some of the Common Core State Standards unnecessary. Standards tell you what to teach, not how to teach. They do represent some key instructional shifts. The first shift is complexity. Regular practice with complex text and its academic language. It's not just a focus on how students read, but also the complexity of the text, with attention to academic language. Research has found that there is a 4-year gap between high school and college text complexity. The second shift is evidence. Reading, writing, and speaking are grounded in evidence from text. Most college and workplace writing requires evidence. Being able to locate and deploy evidence are hallmarks of strong readers and writers. Finding and evaluating evidence supports the development of informed opinions. We need to enhance our students' ability to debate and comprehend social economic issues. There's a shift from discourse, opinions, what do you think, to an emphasis on informed opinions based on evidence. Often in ESL, we move from the text, comprehension questions about the text, and then how do students feel about the text. The emphasis needs to be on text-dependent questions that require more evidence-based comprehension. The final shift is knowledge. There is a special emphasis on comprehension of informational text. Nonfiction makes up the vast majority of required reading in college and the workplace. Informational text is harder for students to comprehend than narrative text. It is important for students to have access to new knowledge, not just what they know from personal experience. Personal experience is important to anchor and build skills, but we don't want to stop there. From my personal experience sharing the college and career standards with colleagues, there's been a great deal of consensus that these standards represent sound teaching principles. Teachers seem to be relieved to have agreement about what students need to be successful for college and in the workplace. The standards are not a curriculum. Instead, they represent a framework for programs to use to strengthen college and career readiness. They do not indicate a hierarchy of importance. They don't dictate how instructors should teach, but rather the standards describe what adults should know and do. Nor do they provide an exhaustive list. Students still need other readiness skills, such as time and work management skills. And unfortunately, the standards don't address the complete support needed for English language learners or students with special needs. The Common Core State Standards are correlated to grade levels. Instead of presenting the standards grade by grade, the College and Career Readiness Standards are bundled into 5 grade level groupings to more closely reflect adult education levels of learning. These groupings, levels of learning, can be correlated to NRS ABE levels, and then we can extrapolate NRS ESL levels. When you look at the NRS ESL levels, notice that level A is problematic because it represents 3 beginning NRS levels: beginning literacy, beginning low, and beginning high. Also, level E, with a CASA score of 236, is beyond the approved NRS levels for ESL. For our purposes, we focus on groupings A through D for ESL. Here's the same CCR reading anchor we saw previously. The CCR anchor standard is the broad statement that covers 6 levels of ESL with the 4 corresponding level-specific standards A through D. The level-specific standards are the keys to unpacking the CCR anchor standard at the appropriate level of instruction. And here we see that the same CCR anchor standard, the 4 level-specific standards A through D, and the corresponding Ventures books. Finally, you see the same CCR reading anchor standard 2 with specific examples from the Venture series that address this standard. In this case, all books in the series address this standard at the appropriate levels of learning. In fact, the Venture series has been correlated to the CCR standards for adult education. So if you are using the Venture series, you can be confident that you are providing students with material to meet these important standards. Specifically, from the beginning level, there is systematic development of language skills with reading, writing, and communication tips that support the ongoing increase in these skill areas. While the series, from beginning through advanced levels, has separate lessons that emphasize these skills, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, each lesson integrates all 4 skills, and the overarching unit topic area promotes skill integration. One very important contribution of the CCR standards is the emphasis on the reading-writing connection. Research has documented that when you integrate these 2 skills, students read and write better. Finally, there is explicit writing instruction from the beginning. The 2-page writing lessons emphasize the process approach to writing, including pre-writing, writing, and post-writing activities that always provide a structured way to promote peer interaction. There aren't 2 separate standards. The Common Core State Standards are for K through 12, and the College and Career Readiness Standards are for adult education. The foundation for both sets of standards is the College and Career Anchor Standards. The level-specific standards are the key to unpacking the standards and correlating materials. CCR uses level-specific standards as opposed to grade levels. Finally, number 4, Ventures is skill-based, so the series correlates easily to the College and Career Readiness Standards.